From Psalm 33. They are happy whose God is the Lord, the people he has chosen as his own. From the heavens the Lord looks forth. He sees all the children of men. Because a king is not saved by his army, nor a warrior preserved by his strength. A vain hope for safety is the horse. Despite its power, it cannot save. It is the Lord who looks on those who revere him, to those who hope in his love, to rescue their souls from death and to keep them alive in famine. May your love be upon us, O Lord, as we place all our hope in you. And so we pray, nourish your people, Lord, for we hunger for your word. Rescue us from the death of evil and fill us with your mercy, that we may share your presence and the joys of all believers. Amen. Good morning. Welcome wherever you are in the world. Remember, the purpose of this station is to unite Jamaicans and Jamaican lovers in every time zone, in every country, to bring you home. Home to the news, home to decent, reasonable, constructive critique of some of the things that we need to do better. Opportunity to big up those who are really making strong contribution to public welfare, to lifting up the common good. That's our principle, you know. We're not into this selfishness. We're not into this ego trip. We're talking about the benefit of all. You who are away, but whose heart remains in this, your native land, and those of us who live here. Many of us who would like to join you, but also many of us who would really like to just see the upliftment of God's people, God's Jamaican people. So good morning, Bridge Nation. Welcome to the Early Rise. I'm Ronnie Thwaites. Pearnel Child's going to join me a little later. It's exciting discussion from two people of very different backgrounds in all respects, but who share the common love for our country, the passion of nationalism, and the hope that our dialogue can encourage others to contribute and also to influence public policy, and so that we can all live a better life. You can get us, you know, the Bridge 99 is wide open for public comment. The WhatsApp and text line is 876-551-5782, and the studio line is 876-676-4996. We don't major in the minors. We talk about some things that may not appear prominent because they lead us to deeper reflection, but we're always looking for first causes. We're always looking for real solutions rather than superficial fixes. That's what we do on the program. You can listen to us live stream, www.thebridge99fm.com, wherever you are in the world. Later on this morning, Steve McDonald from Toronto is our guest. What's been going on in Ottawa, where all these truckers for days now have been able to forego their earnings? Boy, what a wonderful welfare system they seem to have. You can get food and live your life without work. Some of us would like that, but the world don't work so, you know. When that happens, it's always someone getting something at the expense and advantage of another. Now, these people are protesting what? Protesting restrictions, COVID restrictions imposed by the government of Canada. Really? That you do? Because of that? No, there must be something deeper than that. Let Steve tell us. He's a Jamaican based in Toronto, a friend of this program, a promoter of Jamaican goods and services to Jamaicans in Ontario. Right, so we're happy to hear from you. Make sure that you link us. The program, I understand, is rebroadcast and scheduled elsewhere. We're glad for that, too. Always tell you what the weather is like in Jamaica, even if it gives you a red eye. Yes, the Meteorological Service of Jamaica's forecast for today, Tuesday, February the 8th already, is that this morning we can expect isolated showers across eastern parishes. It will be partly cloudy elsewhere. Meanwhile, this afternoon, scattered showers are expected across most parishes, with isolated thunderstorms across hilly areas. We're glad for the little afternoon rain, you see. Yeah, farmer's rain, we call it. Excellent for those of us who cultivate. Yes, plant little vegetables, little tubers, make the fruit trees come up, make flowers pretty and nice. Yeah, you know how much money Jamaica spend importing flowers? Nonsense. Yeah, man, millions of dollars. Yeah, and we import so much food, and that is the problem too. because we can grow the food we need, but we not do so. Some of us too stretch the nails too long. I worry sometimes when I see some of the ladies and some of the gentlemen kind of precious about this too, but the nails long like pretty claws. May I use that CLAWS? May I use that expression without being rude? And I wonder if you had to plant for your living, how you'd manage. If you had to dig ground in order that you get nice food for your picnic and yourself, how you would manage? Okay, what is substance and what is poppy show, please? That's one of the things we have to decide individually and as a nation, don't you think? Right. I was listening to the BBC this morning, climbing down Blue Mountains to the bridge, and they were exploring how many efforts there are now to put people on Mars and the moon. Yeah, we'll reach the moon already, but they want to put some more people on the moon, and then they want to go to Mars. And, I am a respecter of, not a student of, but a respecter of science and inquiry. And we must always be pushing the frontiers of science. But we are spending whole heap of billions on space shuttle and SpaceX, etc., and Star Wars equipment, okay? One particular expedition is going to cost over $300 billion, one program. Well, okay, I look forward to hearing what is the benefit to humanity of that, rather than the excitement of Mr. Elon Musk and Mr. Jeff Bezos, whose wealth is about 10 or 20 times more than the budget of Jamaica over 10 years, yeah? But there are Americans doing all of this. But then the truth is that 1 in 7 Americans this morning is hungry. Yeah? And 1 billion people in the world are hungry. So, I mean, we could talk about inequality all we want. But I kind of rate Bill Gates a bit more. Because at least Gates used for him money. I don't know what he does with all of his fortune, but he uses his money to try and fight disease and lift up humanity. Women who are disadvantaged, children, various diseases, malaria, others. Okay? And yet, Gates is the one get the cussing, no? Because everybody say him won't control your head and put chip in your brain. But these other men now who are spending their money to build spaceship to go to Mars or to take them out of the stratosphere so they can look back on Earth in their power, I don't rate them. Yeah? In fact, I think that they are leading themselves and ourselves, us, who enrich them. It's us who enrich them, It's us, right? We buy their products, we patronize their services. Yeah, not only in America, but here too. Yes. No, nobody's jealous of anybody else's wealth, but how you use it and how you got it is really very important, If you got it by squeezing us to death with the bank fees, please don't ask for OJ, although them they will get too. Why? Yeah, we worship the wrong thing. We worship Moloch and Baal, yes, instead of the living God present in each human person. That. So, let's have a sense of priorities. It's wonderful to conquer the universe. How about conquering hunger too? I don't know if it has to be one or the other. You will tell me. But it's morals we're talking about on the early rise on the bridge, Morals and life. And if you don't value human life, I don't know what you're going to Mars for. Right. So instead of holding for picnic, dying of hunger or coming up disadvantaged and many turn criminal and full of disappointment, many others, yeah? How come we deal with that, no? Right? Rather than squeeze those who are already squeezed for our benefit and then kin up our teeth when we get them 2 shillings and 1 tablet. Not that, man. Sure. And we do it different, no? And we set up our system in a different way. So I'm raising that issue for discussion. Is one issue that of all of the money we spend on exploration of space, is it to be placed in contrast with that which we expend upon eradicating human hunger and preventable disease, and in our own environment in Jamaica. Yeah, because remember, as Jamaicans abroad and locals we're talking with. What do you think? Are we spending the money in the right places? My feeling is that we should spend the money and the wealth of this country. It's a very wealthy country, you know. Don't? Very wealthy country. We should be spending that money, if you have any conscience, upon uplifting education, uplifting health, and encouraging strong, committed families, eh? That's my view. So tell me if you think that's short-sighted or too idealistic or too much God business running a talk. Right. There's a matter I want to deal with Pearnel when he comes, because I read in The Observer this morning that there are some people. I admire Tanya Stevens. She's a good artist, eh? She sings some good conscious lyrics. And she is reported as saying that Christopher Tufton should resign because of his insistence that there are going to be many events that only vaccinated people can go to. Yeah? No, Tanya, no. And she's being supported in different ways by some people like Mr. Adam Stewart, and I believe our friend Michael Abrams, a doctor and commentator, comedian, is saying that people should make their own decision. You have one ex-businessman whose his strong suit is not wisdom, but he's saying that the restrictions should have gone long time, all of them. How can we say that? Big up Lee Issa, Dennis Chung, who are saying let the scientists, let the doctors, let the epidemiologists guide the government policy. Yeah? So, and going beyond that, going deeper into that rather, using the same moral argument. We're not afraid to talk about morals, you know. Yeah? That's what guides human action. That's why we're rational human beings. We're not instinctual beings alone. We're not animals in that sense. So going into it, if you choose not to be vaccinated, why I must let you monks up yourself side of me when you can make me more vulnerable? So it's nothing. With the choice you make for yourself, yes, is so supreme that you can influence my life by your choice? No, sir. Oh, no. No. When all of the health, all of the experts are telling us that it is better to be more protected. So what kind of exaggerated personalism is that? And I'm so sorry if that view of responsibility, community responsibility, life or death issues when it comes down to it, yes, when that conflicts with your business, you know, and so you can't earn as much money from whichever tourists come here, or cruise ship, yeah, or football game, yes, your receipts are reduced because of this rule that government is instituting. So I don't join that call at all. Minister Tufton is doing the right thing, and he's to be supported. And I hope that the cabinet of this country is not going to be swayed by these other voices. Let's argue it out. Let's hear the other side. We're open on the early rise on the Bridge 99 FM. You want some more news now? Well, this is a joke. Yeah, two policemen and 2 prisoners were injured during a brawl at the Supreme Court in downtown Kingston Monday afternoon. Reports are that the incident occurred while prisoners were being loaded in a police vehicle to go back to their detention centers. Some superintendent says that, and the newspaper says that 2 prisoners didn't want to go into the same cubicle in the vehicle, and so they apparently boxed down one of the police officers, and then a fight ensued. What is that? Who is in charge? These things will happen, so I form no judgment, but it is highly unseemly and unusual. Delegates of the Jamaica Teachers Association have voted to accept the government's latest wage offer. What else could they do? 68% of the delegates brought the negotiations to a close. Okay, well, what is the additional accountability and productivity that teachers are being asked to give as a result of this wage increase, plus the book allowance and so on? They will get an increase in book and software allowance, plus a laptop voucher in the amount of $90,000. So that no salary too? That no pay? We certainly know how to confuse up ourselves. In fact, the teachers are getting more than the 4%. They're getting it not in the form of salary, but in the form of these allowances. And, well, is this good news? Yes. A compensation review for teachers. It's slated to begin in April. But the police are still outstanding, you see. Well, I believe that teachers should get more money, provided they are fully accountable and they are giving excellent service. Many are, God knows. There are some who are not. Okay? So we need to develop this, not same money for all. If I'm doing very well, let me put it the other way. If you are doing very well in your job, going beyond the call of duty, you should be paid more than me, who simply are warming the bench and turning up when I have to. Yeah? That is, I would have thought that is what some of these people who defend market forces as being the supreme law of economics, more than economics, and of principles of human reward, and indeed, therefore, of human worth. Very key things, you know. These things go deep. You can't stop at the superficial level. A salary allocation is just that. Goes really deep to the issue of human worth. What am I worth to my employer, and myself? What is the integral value that I'm adding to this particular enterprise? These are the questions we must ask ourselves. But I'm tired of the duplicity of saying, oh, you're only getting 4% increase because you can't get any more than that because we can't. Everybody else will claim the same thing. But we'll give you a little thing on the side, a book allowance or a voucher for a tablet or one uniform or an ex-lunch money. Cha! Why don't we just cut it out? Mr. Siaga was going to do that, you know. He did it started the process in the 18th, and he catch Fred. Yes? Because we have not yet understood our own role in respect of the common good of the society and how we have to comport ourselves in ways that emphasize productivity and the value therefore. My view is that we cannot do that. We are unlikely to do that in the present system of political economy, which is where inequality, not inequality based on differing productivity, but inequality based very often on education, on class, on race, yes, and on discriminatory presumptions. We are so embedded in those things that we end up fighting each other to get one little crumbs. Do you think, I want to ask my bridge audience this morning, do you think that the 4% plus a little extras is going to make the teaching profession more committed, more accountable, help them? I want the big question for me is the teachers' remuneration ought to be related to their extraordinarily hard job in making up for 2 lost years. That's what it is. 2 lost years. I know if the effort that they ought to be putting out for Jamaica's good and for the upliftment of every single child who has been affected, yes, will require a different type of approach to remuneration and to accountability. What do you think? But what we're doing is saying we're treating it as almost normal. We refer to the difficulty and the remedial effort and so on as kind of, oh yes, remember that too. But that's not going to take us across the bridge where we want to be, you know. It's going to mean much, much more than that. And so if you're happy teachers about this, I feel that the Jamaica Teachers Association has given you a great deal. Well, so be it. But I don't see it that way at all. All right? And we still have the hurdle of the police. Sorry for the Minister of Finance, because he's inherited a very sticky wicket. And he can't roll it again. He says he's going to try starting in April. That itself is an exercise that he and the technocrats in government cannot manage on their own. It needs some fundamental rethinking of how we comport ourselves in Jamaica, how we value labor, how much we spend upon it, and this nonsense about letting the market determine everything. Yes, I heard a gentleman who I expected better from, Mr. Nita of the Chamber of Commerce, say that is what we must do, and that would help people to get more money than the minimum wage. Yeah, Nita, where are you? What history do you see? If it's left up to the market, people will get nothing. They'll get less than the minimum wage. Yeah? That's a history. Don't you understand the struggle of the last 50, 60 years? It's not the existence of a minimum wage that is keeping down labor, the cost of labor. Mercy, I was very surprised at how backward. You can't turn your back on history and fail to understand what is the nature of the struggle from 1938 and before, right up to now. Anybody want to take me on that? I'm willing, you know. It's time for the break. This is the Early Rise on the Bridge 99. This is the Bridge 99 FM. To Jamaicans all over the world and at home, have mercy, the mighty diamonds. It's a cry we really all need, you know. Yeah? Music fitting in. Okay, have mercy. Yeah. Don't bother tell us that, you know, we must make anything happen so you can get ahead and maybe you'll give us a little charity, you know. Yeah, that doesn't work. Doesn't work. It's not the right morals. Come now, it's nice people, you know, we want everybody to get together. Those who have not. But we have to level the playing field first. Okay? Yes? Okay, I could remind. Leah Kim, good morning. Yes, you know I am greeting you. Yes, everybody can't pee in a man's swimming pool. Okay, let's just get that straight. I'm on to the chicken prices again because Jamaicans love chicken. I know some people who eat chicken 3 times a day, you know. Don't know how they manage, don't know how they afford it, but they just love it. All right, so the news now is that Caribbean Broilers, that's the other big broiler company, Jamaica Broilers, came out front, say they're raising their prices by 10%, okay? And, this week. And Caribbean Broilers now has come out to say that they are going to have to increase by 6 to 8%. All right. And the question is, what do we do about that? People are going to be less able, because remember, we're just talking about the minimum wage. Look at the irony. In fact, the contradiction. The minimum wage tribunal that inquires into and advises government what should be the minimum wage made a report. That report has not been acted upon. So the minimum wage is going back to the field now to do a next exercise before the other exercise has been acted upon. Yes? So the price of chicken, which is a little bit of pleasure, that now is the price is going up, and we are still expected to afford that on the 7,000 a week. That is those who are getting it, and you have people saying that we must let the market. So we make the market not determine right now that the money should be more than 7,000 because that money can't feed you, let alone if you have picnic. So, you know, these market fundamentalists who seem to dominate the economic establishment in Jamaica are really, really out of this world. They're acting against the interests of the majority of the people. You don't see it. Good morning, Mr. Charles.
Good morning, Master. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're looking early. Very great this morning.
And you too, sir. Return the compliment.
I don't know if I misunderstood one of your presentation.
Yeah.
The teachers have settled their wage claim, right?
Yes, they have.
Okay. Well, you were saying something.
Well, I said, what choice do they have? But and what I was doing was repeating something that I think you would be familiar with. Because remember, in the 1980s, when former Prime Minister Siaga, in whose administration you were honored to serve, said, look here, this business where you have whole heap of allowances and tax-free benefits and little add-on to the basic salary has to go. Because it distort the whole picture.
Yeah.
And what have we done again? We've done the same thing in 2022, where the teachers have to accept the 4%, because if they didn't, Yes, whatever case they made for special treatment, for better treatment, they couldn't get it because it would overturn the whole public sector apple cart, right? Going to be the same for the police, So what they have done is now they work around it and get a little extra allowance, non-taxable. Yes, your income as a parliamentarian was all taxable, sir. So
Oh, yeah.
mine. Oh yes,
We pay tax, we pay NIS.
that's
we
right,
pay,
sir. Okay. So what they're doing now is arrange a little something, a little book, a little software, a little tablet allowance, and that is the sweetener to the 4%. My view is that is just false and deceitful. What we want to do is to value the services of our public servants, of everybody who offers labor, at whatever level, public or private, but we're talking about the public sector now, and have a proper, decent, affordable salary. Don't?
Well, I don't know if it is fair to say at this stage, many years ago, so maybe I could. I disagreed
Yes?
with the way negotiations were taking place. And of course, I did so because of my profession.
Yes, as a trade unionist.
Right. I say, for example, if the budget can afford 20%
Yes, sir.
for all public servants, right, then that 20% should be removed and put where the distribution is taken.
Right?
In other words, so teachers, lawyers who have been paid from it, doctors who have to be paid from it, all we just decide if it's 20 or 25% of the budget for salary goes to them.
Yeah.
Now, how it is divided up has to be an agreement with the various people who are in it.
Yes.
Right? So if it's teachers, police, this, that, they have to now sit around the table, right, and say, we have X billion dollars, and this is how we're going to share. You can have supervision.
Yes.
Right? But the way it's going now, you get 10% now, you go back and cry, you get another 2%, you go another 2%, you get a house,
But it's
you
not
get a
related.
car.
Is it related to productivity at all, sir?
Yes.
How? What? I ask a question for myself and for everybody else. Every wage increase I must get must be related to my productivity.
Yes.
It must be also related to what are some basic costs of living, because we all want to. It is good for society. It is good for any enterprise. It's good for any family that the individuals who are in the labor force are earning enough to meet their basic needs. That is why we have a minimum wage, and yet we have the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce in this 2022. Yes. 80 years, 90 years after the labor uprisings, after the generation, after the labor uprising, which is people like you, Pearnel Charles, in the trade union movement, arguing against a minimum wage?
No, well,
What is that?
Let me tell you, because let me switch from
We're
what
going
I was
backwards.
saying. Let me switch from what I was saying and go to minimum wage.
Yes, sir.
The present approach to minimum wage, in my approach, is false.
Me too. I agree. But I don't. But not the concept of a minimum wage.
No. There must be a minimum wage.
Well, that is what they're saying. No, they're saying let the market determine.
Because, well, it is market economy I'm going at. In other words, the minimum wage for a lady who leave St. Catherine, come to town to work as a helper, and let us say she get $10,000 a week.
She's lucky.
She has to employ somebody to stay with the children.
Yeah.
By law, she should pay that person $7,500.
Yeah.
So what she does, she get a friend or a cousin who will take $3,000.
Yeah.
And the majority of people don't get the minimum wage because the majority of people just earn minimum wage.
Yeah.
So all who them employ can't get it.
So what
So
kind of
I said, hold on.
Okay.
As the minister, I said, gentlemen, the minimum wage for certain people. In other words, we should have more than one minimum wage.
Yeah. Okay.
We should have an industrial minimum wage.
A domestic minimum
We can
wage.
have, you understand? So that, because
Okay, that's a
people
nice
are
refinement. I like that.
People are just waiting to hear that the minimum wage gone up to 8,500, right? And they're not going any further.
No, but let us take on the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Nita is the spokesperson at the present time. Do you think that the condition of labor would be improved if there were no minimum wage? If government never set a minimum wage?
Well, let me answer you this way.
Right.
If there were more Pearnel Charles, more Carlisle Dunkley, more Earl Anderson, more Cliffstone, and Carlisle one side.
Sure.
If there were more trade unionists, right, to say, all right, there's no minimum wage, all your workers have to be unionized so that I sit at the bargaining table and I represent their wage. Now, don't tell me about minimum. I'm going to go by productivity.
Yes.
So the man who is working for you and you're moving trash and moving stone and moving this is different from the man who is just carrying mail.
Yes, I agree.
So when we sit at the bargaining table, we are going to talk about productivity. Depends on the input.
So I return to my
but that would be chaos for them.
Of course.
Because in every industry, let's take separate, you'd have about 20 different categories.
Well, if there are different levels of productivity and different levels of responsibility and different levels of capability, why should there not be?
But
it's inconvenient.
Yeah, of course, because you have to show me that the man who is carrying cassava from St. Thomas to Kingston is different from the man who is carrying the cassava after you make it to go and sell in Manchester.
But that is economic reality.
Yes, Ronnie, but that's the problem.
So what's the point of hiding from that?
The point of hiding from that is to make your bottom line bigger.
Well, that is the whole trouble, and that is what is the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce. Unfortunately, with little concept of the common good, in fact, with a distortion of it, saying that if it was up to everybody just to bargain, you would have more competition and higher wages, which history manifestly, palpably proves to be untrue. You're advancing that as a national policy in Jamaica?
Every time I sit around the table and I ask for 10%. They say we can give you 10%, but we have to raise the price by 6% to the consumer.
Because we're keeping our margin of
exactly.
Of course.
At the end of the term, whatever the audit report is, it must be that for the second year
we have made more profits.
Exactly.
And then you have the apologists of the bank fees saying the same striking thing now. And that is that is governing. That has a large element of influence in our government policy.
Yes.
And that, to me, is the fundamental inequality, the fundamental immorality that is causing all of the social ills in this country. Yes, and it's not to be a communist to say that. It is not to be to expect everybody to get the one money, irrespective of what you're doing. Nothing like that. It is to ask for conscience and a recognition of the common good. Yes,
well,
that is why I'm so sorry the trade union movement popped down.
Well, because somehow what used to be the trade union movement has gone into trade unions, movements. So the police have their own, the teachers have their own, the private sector.
To what good
the private sector have their own union that they meet.
Yes, Employers Federation is a trade union.
Exactly. Yeah. They have everybody knows. Say, listen, man, that's the way to go to negotiate.
Anyway,
so they sit at the table with us and say, listen, the private sector cannot have. So they come jointly, you know.
Yeah.
Understand that?
Right.
When they sit at the table, right?
I know, sir. I hear it.
And the construction people have their own.
I want to raise something with you before we break for the government observances. This is page 3 of the Observer today.
Yes.
Reggae star wants Tufton to resign over vaccine plan. Going further than a group of prominent Jamaicans who have slapped Health and Wellness Minister Christopher Tufton for discriminating against the unvaccinated, reggae singer Tanya Stevens has called on the embattled minister to resign. Okay, here are the comments now. Mr. Berry, I don't know what his claim to fame is. He says he wants to see an end to all COVID-19 protocols. Of course, Mr. Stewart, who owns this newspaper, has said that.
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Abrams says, I think people have a right to make that decision. Miss Stevens or Mrs. Stevens says there's no basis for this gigantic overreach. Mr. Epstein, who is a well-respected businessman, he says no Jamaican should be discriminated against going to an event. And Dennis Chung says government should have gone the route of vaccinated-only events earlier.
What does that mean?
He's supporting Tufton. that the government should have indicated which events only people who are vaccinated could go to. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I support that.
Yes.
You and I have discussed this.
Yes.
I support the position taken by Dr. Christopher Tufton and the Prime Minister.
Could we stop right there and say,
Yeah.
how you could be my leader?
Yeah.
And because you convinced me
Uh-huh.
that this vaccine is going to help me, because 93% of all who die
Yes, sir.
did not take the
Yes,
vaccine.
sir. And so when I argue that no matter, or this is not the way to protect it,
Oh, but hold on now.
how you rate me?
So you expect me to go to work
Yes, sir.
when two men say, them
Right,
no
sir.
business no know
Yeah.
what no doctor say.
Yeah.
No business what no top scientist say.
Yeah.
Right? Them hear about one thing, Route 66.
Yeah, revelations.
Or Revelation 66.
No, I
Right?
mustn't make joke about that.
No,
Anyway, it's true, though.
but it's a joke they're talking.
Yeah.
Because they're saying there's something named 666 which tell them that it is going to kill them.
Yeah.
But the one that they took to go to school, when I couldn't go in unless I put my vaccination paper to
that
the
is
teacher,
different.
it never killed them.
Okay.
And everybody have this scar. Hear
Yes.
this now. And who didn't have this scar? The teacher said, hold on. Feel something dead.
Yeah, but go back.
Yeah, we'll take it
Go
over.
take it over.
So the truth is, we have a confused nation because everybody want to lead.
No, that is a quote of the day in Audley. We have a confused nation.
But it confuses me, much less the man who didn't go to basic school.
Yeah.
I look at it and go to basic school, I skip that.
If I'm interested in the common good, if I believe that we are a society that must act not only in our special interest personally, but in the interest of everybody, and if it is undeniable that the vaccine helps to prevent serious illness and may ward off COVID entirely, how are you telling me that I must disregard all of that? You have your choice, but what your choice involves is that I must be prejudiced by your choice,
No.
prejudiced as to my health. No, sir.
Leadership is a leadership running. I remember
But I'm surprised at these people.
Oh, yeah, but I sit around the bargaining table when the worker said to me, Mr. Charles, we not take less than 15%, you know. And I said to the management, hold on a minute. And I move into a room with the delegates.
Yeah.
And I say, no, we have to look at production. We have to look at what you are bringing in. You are producing more than that one, but combined for workers, right? We can't ask for more than 10. But guess what? The company is going to give us 7. Me not reject the 7. Me hold the 7 and say, well, we have to negotiate
Well, no, but
the
then
3.
you see, okay, but then the problem is that what you're doing there is to have a notion, a balanced notion of what I call the common good.
But that has to be run.
No, but it's not in this instance.
No, but that is what I'm trying to say.
and
They are
therefore,
one-sided in their looking.
Hello, sir. And this is a matter to do with health. This is a matter where we cannot afford to have this confused nation, as you call it, because people who are unvaccinated are the ones, the majority, as you point out, who are dying in the hospitals.
And they are threatening those of us who have taken the
Yes, sir.
vaccine.
So
because people are getting it back again.
Yeah. So when you come with that now, and you want the minister to resign, I think that is very, very unfortunate. You know.
Well, Ronnie.
Yeah.
There are some people that you have to close their ears to, Mama say, you know.
Hello, sir.
Tell me who you'd put other than Tufton.
Well,
I called him one time and I said, Tufton, I see you losing weight, you know. Go easy. This thing here will kill you. I said, take it easy.
But the individual is one thing, the policy is the other. And the policy has, to me, a principle behind it. And the principle is that I must not take a position which is clearly inimical to the common good and think that I have a right to do so. There's always going to be a balance, but the balance in this instance, the world history around us tells us that the balance is in favor of any measure of protection that we can offer.
All right. The balance in this instance is a political one. Now let me show you. We say, Mr. Andrew, you are Prime Minister. You are leading the government. And we are expecting you to say something now. What? We're expecting you to come and say the cabinet has decided that it is mandatory for all of us to take the vaccine. We not vote for you again. You're dead. Because somebody going to come and say, it's against my human right. It's against, and I will get more vote because, you say, so...
we don't have to force each other.
That you do.
We don't have to force each other to the wall in all respects. Yes, but where
No, leadership. Hold on, Ronnie. Leadership is not a question of forcing. You have been given the right to do certain things, and I have a right to review you in 4 or 5 years.
Well, my view of politics and leadership is different to that, sir. I believe that while that is grossly the case, the fact is that there are many nuances, many shades to the exercise of that leadership. And frankly, in respect of COVID, though there have been many mistakes because of ignorance, because the science was developing, we have done reasonably well in that regard.
Yes.
Sorry about nearly 3,000 people who have died and many others suffering, but we've done reasonably well in that regard. And the last thing we need to do now, yes, there is a real tension with economic resurgence, but the last thing we can afford to do now is to say, to hell with the science, make we run with it.
Like who won dead.
Yeah, that is behind a lot of these careless comments. Yes, and I'm surprised at some of the quarters that it is coming from. And I want us, limited influence, very very soft voices. Can you imagine Charles and Thwaites to say no? We think differently. That's an early rise on the Bridge 99. When we come back, we're going to talk about chicken. Pearnel, Charles, two things before we invite Steve McDonald to join us in about 20 minutes' time. We are Jamaicans. We're talking to Jamaicans everywhere. We're small. We don't have too much skin in the game. But what is the fundamental basis for hotting up the European continent and the starting up hot war, not cold war, hot war about Ukraine? You figure it out for me yet?
Well,
how much people going dead if anything happen? How is this going to advance the future of humanity?
Well, both sides are seeking territorial occupation.
Yeah.
Russia is saying, don't come here with all of that. You're coming too close to my yard.
Yes, sir.
And the other people are saying, we have a right to come.
Yes, sir.
So what about the rest of us?
Yeah.
So want to stay on the yard.
Well,
or to leave Ukraine alone.
Well, what you live for? And that is the conquest of territory, the ultimate goal of all human wealth and existence and purpose?
Well, I want to tell you something. I was in the United States when John F. Kennedy told the Soviet Union, turn the ship around and go back.
Yes, sir.
When they were trying to come to set up their thing in Cuba.
Missile crisis.
And I don't see the difference at this stage.
No, I don't in principle either.
But Putin is not waiting for them to start to come. He's saying he wants something to declare that Ukraine will never join with the group.
Yeah. So
and it seems as if they are willing to say that.
No.
And he just seems that he's willing to take what they are saying. So they're willing to drop bombs on the rest of us.
So indeed. Just suppose if Canada, with a long border with the United States, were to say we would like to join what was Comecon, the communist group.
Yes.
You think U.S. would have take it?
Oh, they would take it from Mexico. Why would take it from Cuba?
Thank you. Okay, then they wouldn't even take it from Cuba, which is offshore.
Exactly.
Okay, so
well, then from Venezuela.
From Venezuela.
That is what.
Look at that. Same. You're right. Now, in those circumstances, what have we done? What is the human purpose? What is the basis that the long-term or short-term basis on which we are faced down now with a situation of vast amounts of money, vast amount of anxiety, vast amount of the deflection of human upliftment by this thing here now. I cannot function.
There must be something that we don't know.
Well,
from what we know, from what they allow us to know, I can't see the justification of people setting directly to go and kill one another.
Frantic diplomacy.
And the rest of us going to die.
Our croppers. Frantic diplomacy on two different continents to avert war. And in case Jamaicans listening to us do not understand how this affects us, yes, it affects us because immediately, like next week, you're going to hear the price of gas gone up because the oil market is heavily influenced by all of this issue with the pipeline or the lack of it, excuse me. And this is going to affect world oil prices, the Gulf price of oil, and we are going to feel it directly in our pockets. So we have something to talk about. We have some interest in it, and we say this don't make sense.
Ronnie, although there's so many more cars and trucks on the road than buses, there are more and more to feed with food.
Correct.
And this young man called Pearnel Charles is telling me that we're importing more food than we're producing.
Yeah.
Is that so?
Well, importing more food? Yes, we are, sir. We are importing more food than we are producing by multiples. And therefore, I take you on to the issue of the chicken. Because,
So therefore, when the war starts and the food can't come.
Or the food price gone up.
Aye.
Yes.
So all the people here now who is complaining about the price of X, Y, and Z.
Yes, sir.
It's going to probably triple.
Yes.
Or they won't be able to get it.
Yes. So
because of what?
Because of international
military diplomacy.
Right, sir. Okay, so help me again now. This morning, indeed from yesterday, Caribbean Broilers, the other major chicken producer, say they're going to raise up their prices too. Okay,
by how much?
By 8%, 6 to 8%.
I thought it was
the other people
announced it was going to be 20% before.
No, if you take the cumulative rise over the last 18 months or two years, it amounts to about 38%.
Yes.
Average. Okay, a little less maybe. So here is the situation now. It's a difficult time for the ministry. I beg your pardon. It's a difficult time for the government and for the people of Jamaica because the chicken prices are going up. The opportunity to import comes. Listen to what we had over the weekend where KFC, Kentucky, are saying they can't get all the chicken they want. Okay?
Well, the chicken people say that's not true.
Okay, sir. But if
everybody is pulling their little style.
Look at that. What you said, sir? Everybody is pulling their little style.
Yes, to make the bottom line higher.
Right.
Except me and you. Well,
yes.
The little man is saying, Mr. Charles, not even you, me.
Yeah.
Can you have a salary? We don't.
Yeah. So if in fact we were to import the leg quarters, right?
Yeah.
And KFC or the other fast food people, or the pan man on the street were to get that, would he lower the price of his product?
Well, look a little further. He probably won't be able to get it.
Well.
And what he gets, me and you can't buy it.
Well, look at that.
Because what he's going to have to pay for what he can get, whatever way it comes in, since it cannot be produced here.
So if I'm a farmer now, a chicken farmer, yes, and I'm making a decision about investment, how would I work it? Because here it is now. There's a strong, if you take it strictly on the basis of market economy, yes, we're flush with foreign exchange. Dr. Clark tells us Bank of Jamaica has net international reserves that can buy Jamaica's needs for a whole year. Never had that before. Yeah. Okay, so we can afford the foreign exchange to buy import.
So what's the difference between import and the other one? Why don't we do the other one here? Yeah. So that we don't have to import.
Because
it's much cheaper.
Well, the only way we can do that is if we take the duty of the ingredients to feed for the chicken feed, and I'm interested to know that Minister Charles of Agriculture is saying that farmers have begun to benefit from the $50 million which government has created. But okay, so you benefit me for that. Okay, but then at the end of the day, if you bring in the chicken, the imported chicken, am I going to be able to sell what I produce?
Well, if the technicians sitting around the table recognize the bottom line, how many chicken do we need?
Yes, sir.
How many chicken are being consumed or can be consumed? Then you have to decide how much you produce and how much you import, so that you don't have an over quantity, so that when the chicken man finish and ready his road and at night, him don't have whole heap of chicken to carry home, and I don't know how him store it. And when he carry back, he hat it up. And when him hot it up and you eat it,
Your belly hurt you.
and
you
not
better
only the
run.
belly, what
Yes.
what else?
No, but help me now. But okay, I don't want to create a problem for every solution. Quite the contrary. But if you import and you sell at a lower price than the local production, what is the justification of continuing that? The justification can only be, yes, that you're going to continue the importation, which will suppress the local industry. The dairy example is right in front of us.
Well, Ronnie, it's in front of me, you know. And we are representing both sides.
No, I'm not saying it's an easy decision, you know.
No, hold on. I am saying that if you're going to import chicken to sell it cheaper than the farmers
Yes, sir.
are producing it, then you have a problem.
But it's bound to be that, sir.
So you have to now look at what it is costing the farmers.
Right.
And you're going to assist the farmer so that he doesn't lose.
Right.
So what you help in the importation, you have to probably split that to help the farmers and production.
So
that the consumer
Yeah.
that you want to help
Yeah.
may not get the bottom line of what you're expecting to give them,
Yeah.
but they will get something.
Okay, so then you seem to be supporting the notion that some kind of subsidy on the ingredients for the feed, which is a major element,
It does. Because
has
you
to be
can't
done.
bring it in and leave the farmers
Okay,
all there.
so if that is what the Mark Golding has been suggested, and I support that,
Yes.
but I still ask the question: how long can you do that for? Because at the end of the day, I do not believe that you can build an industry, a sustainable industry, on the basis of subsidies. The Americans can do it because they have untold wealth and the confidence of the rest of the world in their currency. Yes, so they can have a farm bill every year that subsidizes grain and corn and soya and all of that. But we cannot do that for very long.
No, we can't do that for very long because those who are subsidizing are the poor through Social Security
Right.
and PATH.
Yes.
And all of these things,
Got you.
it's part of what we're doing, you know.
Got you. So
children can't go to school because the budget can't be increased because you can't, hell is popping to take up the tax off gas.
yes.
When you take up the tax off gas, you have to drop the money at Social Security and drop the PATH
Well,
because it is the money that is there that's feeding them.
Okay. Yes. True, but there's another truth that there are if we had the political will, there are other areas of efficiency within government that could allow for the tax to be lowered on the gas and at the same time maintain the social benefits. You're wasting a lot of money. What we know now, sir, is a lot of money in government money, thieving or not being used effectively. When you give, let's go back to where we were. When you give people a salary increase without any reference to productivity, you are embedding inefficiency.
Well,
At the public expense, Mr. Charles.
years ago, when there was a Bustamante and a Norman Manley, and you know Norman input in trade union was, you know what it was.
Yes.
They gave the impression, or it came out of that every 2 years we said to the management, you have to sit down again.
Yeah.
So there has to be a salary increase every 2 years, regardless of inflation, regardless of a 2 year gone in a boss. So people just waiting to say them salary have to go up.
But sir, the point I want to make to you, let me just break this conversation to interpose. We're looking at the CNN tracker at the same time as we're talking, and there is this prosecutor in Georgia who is investigating Mr. Trump.
Yes.
Yes, and she say we're not playing games. Fannie Willis. Yes, what a precke if it is a black woman who leads a prosecution against the white supremacist Donald Trump. My God.
Well, it's just democracy that we've been searching for a long time. Come to work.
That would be poetic justice, Mr. Clark, because of the highest order. Never mind. Come on.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
Mr. Trump is brought to court and he has to come.
Yes.
And the person who is presenting
the
to a
case,
white
a
judge
black woman.
about him, and the judge were listening.
Yeah.
But
I tell
things
you.
have changed.
Okay, things have
Things
changed.
have changed.
Not
and,
conclusively.
and for the better, in my opinion.
I hope.
Some people saying that it's total confusion.
But
now.
here is this
So
black
keep it the way
woman.
it was.
Here's this black woman saying that I won't be bullied, I won't be intimidated. I'm going to do my job and investigate it.
That's the prosecutor.
Yes.
And the black woman.
The black woman.
Well,
See her there? Yes.
Is she that?
Is she that, sir? Pretty black woman. Yes.
I think I see like a Jamaican, you know.
I think so.
Sorry.
Okay, sir. So we interpose with that now in our banter. But no, and that's good. I hope that she would maintain and justice will be done.
Yes.
Not that she must prevail if she don't have a good case. Not that he must prevail because he is who he is. Although I believe he's a brigand.
I need to ask something before you go on. Don't forget what you were going to say. I heard that there were how many small farmers in Jamaica?
Over 200,000.
200,000. And I understand, I was from where, that they cannot feed themselves.
No?
So you have thousands of farmers who go out to them cutlass and them hoe.
Yeah.
And them plant corn,
Yeah.
where they no tea fit it, no beer.
Yeah.
And them to cook, they cannot feed themselves.
No, sir.
No. Edward Seaga came up with Agro 21.
Yeah. Good program.
And that was to bring some large farmers
Yes. And bring
with
science.
plenty land.
And bring science into agriculture.
Science,
Yeah.
technology.
Yes, sir.
And if young child don't understand that food security requires technology
Yeah.
in the room,
Yeah.
the farmers who've been working for years and when they plant 1 quarter corn, they only get half pint.
Yeah.
Because I have to go beg. Somebody have to go help.
Send a big daughter.
So therefore, big farmers have to come in.
No objection, sir.
And you have to find big land.
Yes, sir. But
Because guess what? The big farmers can put wells.
yes, sir.
The big farmers can employ 5,000
They
Jamaicans.
can have mother farms.
And
Yeah.
I never forget the mother farm.
No.
The mother farm, and let's just tell you what it was. The mother farm was the big man, was producing all the tomatoes down in Clarendon, and the farmer started to cry, say, we're not going to, and Siaga said, hold on. All the tomatoes that you can produce.
Go to the processor. Okay.
The big farmers will come in and select,
Yes.
and the rest you can carry go to Linstead and Manchester.
Yes, sir.
And things were moving.
But then we failed in the execution. I went to St. Elizabeth, South St. Elizabeth last week, and I see that remarkable experiment that was started by the late and great Derek Rochester for flavors of local produce.
Yes.
Place lock up Agricultural Marketing Corporation, which it has to be part of all of the consolidated marketing in agriculture. Yes, on Spanish Shore Road. Lock up. Yes.
But Ronnie, you went to St. Anne with me?
No.
When I was a boy, there was a man named Mr. Lukey down at the foot of somewhere in Brownstone. Right?
The produce dealer.
Aye. And him buy all the pimento,
Yes.
all the coffee.
Sure.
So people from mountains
Yes. Carrying a little
come down with them donkey
Yes.
and them head.
Yes.
That time, and them you never have no truck on that.
No, sir.
A market truck and stop. Every man get the money and go back home.
Yes, sir.
Guess what? The same little building came on. They said, that used to be the building.
Used to be the building.
What happened to those?
So
the farmer now.
okay. So take me from the history. Drive across Jamaica right now. Bridge Nation, stay with us. Drive across the history, the country right now. Look, you don't even have to go beyond the border of St. Catherine and Clarendon. Thousands of acres on the St. Dorothy Plain, irrigated by taxpayers' money over the last 60, 80 years. Yes, and are now sitting idle. Cane gone. Some little land, some 5 acres and 10 acres. God bless Mr. Ghazan Azan, and Mr. Lee Chin, who apparently is doing some big scale agriculture. Support that. Okay, but that is a fraction of what we really need on land that is already irrigated. Let me carry you into Monimusk, into the southern Clarendon Plains. Carry you into Westmoreland now, where cane is in the field. Look at northern St. Elizabeth. Cane burned down 2 weeks ago. Yes.
Man burned down.
Man burned down the cane.
Man burned down man 2 weeks ago.
Look at that, sir. You in St.
150 acres.
Look at that. No.
And then burned down, say, grow up grass and can't let go and coal.
Wait, look at that now. So where how are we going to organize ourselves? Not blaming anybody.
Yeah.
Where we're going to go from here to follow the rescript that you yourself have pointed out, where we have to have capital in agriculture, where we have to have technology in agriculture, so that we can feed ourselves. Although them cuss him, and maybe he didn't do it right, I supported J.C. Hutchinson, where he said, look, let us produce so that grade A produce goes to the hotels and to export.
Yes.
Grade B goes to local consumption.
Yes.
And grade C go to process for school feeding. Yes? That made sense to me. But we not did they.
And it's not because your name went to what's the school?
Cornell University.
And you know, JC, let's just say the word, JC was just a soft, quiet, young old man.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knows that JC is a top class
agriculturalist.
Top class.
Yeah.
So to go on with it, Ronnie, I'm getting back that thousands of farmers are getting up right now. Some riding them donkey, some riding them mule, some walking barefoot,
some have
on them like a water boot, and them going with them cutlass and them hoe. Some have fork now. When them juke the fork, a rock stone they going.
Yes, sir.
Because it's hillside farmers. And they cannot feed themselves. But then comes somebody who thief all of it.
Well, terrible. And I see the minister is promising activity on that. I wish him well. We'll have to discuss that when the time comes. This is Early Rise. We talk about the affairs of the nation. We go to the ground and make sure that we're dealing with ordinary people's interests. What could be more crucial than food, self-sufficiency? The Bridge 99. We soon come back. The Honourable Pearnel Charles and myself talking the affairs of the nation, bidding good morning to Steve McDonald in Toronto. Morning, Steve.
Good morning, and good morning to you, and good morning to Sir Charles.
Well, Steve, are you hearing us?
He's hearing
in
you well.
Canada?
Yes, I'm hearing you very well.
Did you hear how this man terrorized me this morning?
I heard you talking, you guys speaking about agriculture and so forth, and you seem to have been in agreement.
Listen, I know you come from where it is, Beeston Spring or Lennox. Lennox Big Woods. Go ahead, Darlington.
Lennox Big Woods and Darlington, yes.
You're just coming close to the nearest big town that people know the name. You come from Westmoreland, you know. Upper Westmoreland.
Oh.
Lennox Big Woods. And reach Toronto. Jamaica not ordinary, you know.
Not tell you that, yeah.
Hey, but we know you from Yaad Market, and we know you from your promotion of Jamaican goods agriculture. We can talk about that. But tell us first, what is going on in Ottawa, the capital of Canada, not far from where you are? How come the Canadian society allow truckers to park up their truck, blow their horn, nasty up the place, and what are they protesting against? Tell us that story, Steve McDonald, from a Jamaican perspective.
That's a big question that is being asked up there in terms of how the police allow things to get to the police and the politician allow things to get to the state where it's at right now. Interestingly, the chief of police in Ottawa is also a Jamaican from Jamaican descent, just to throw that in.
Really?
But they were extremely tolerant of them when they came in. And you mentioned the reason for the protest is the government, federal government mandated that truckers coming back in have to be vaccinated or they have to quarantine for 14 days.
That is coming back into Canada from the United States?
Coming back into Canada, yes. And Canadian truckers, that is.
Internally, Steve?
No.
Where's it coming back in from where?
From over the border.
From the U.S., from over the border.
Oh. So many of these trucks are transporting goods from over the border to... Okay, go ahead.
Yes, mostly the U.S. Now, Interestingly, the Canadian Alliance of Truckers say that 90% of their truckers have been vaccinated. So, which is the interesting thing. Initially, the claim was that they wanted that restriction to be removed, in that they won't be required to show anything. And so that was the initial request. And then now they're asking for pretty much mask mandate to be removed, all provinces to remove mask mandate, and no vaccination and so forth. So that is where the request is, which is doesn't make any sense, because the Prime Minister of Canada does not have that power over the provinces. The Prime Minister cannot dictate what the province requirement is. So that's a non-starter. So over the weekend, they had about 1,000 trucks and 5,000 people on foot within the Ottawa region. Since yesterday, the court has issued a ban on the truck horns. So the trucks have been running all of this time. So residents have been complaining. The trucks have been running all of this time, and they would be blowing their horns on a regular basis. They went to court, and they were taken to court, and the judge issued a ban on truck horns for 10 days. There is now a class action lawsuit against the truckers too. So that should be heard very soon. The Prime Minister, who was on quarantine for COVID, he actually came to an emergency meeting yesterday evening, as the other politicians at the federal levels were actually calling on him to make a stand. We have two opposition parties. They have been up in arms, and one has described it as a terrorist takeover in terms of what is happening with outside influences, as it has now gained support from some of the right-wing Novax people in the U.S. We've seen Senator Ted Cruz from the U.S. chiming in, former President Trump chiming in, giving them support.
Giving the truckers support.
So just two.
Tell them must go on and do what I'm doing. Backside.
Yes.
Sorry, excuse me, sir.
And you had about some residents who were against this took to the streets and were protesting. So now the chief of police said they have been overwhelmed. They've just been honest that they've been overwhelmed. So the city of Ottawa is almost like hardly bigger than the city of Kingston. So you can imagine, and if you were to think about
this is the capital of Canada.
Yes, and where they're demonstrating is the Parliament building. So if you're think about the Ward Theatre, it's almost like the Ward Theatre, and then all the trucks are circling around there.
Okay.
So on Sunday, Monday, the police moved in, and they had an area that they were camping at, that they were using as their they call it a shack that was being used for cooking and so forth. The police moved in, got rid of the shack, and kind of cleared them out of that space.
So,
but then now, go ahead, sorry.
Tell me, Steve, how do they? First of all, this is the depth of winter.
Yes.
Okay.
So they have been camping in their trucks, because most of those trucks have a bed. So for the most part, they've been, and so the trucks have been running continuously.
So who affords all of this? How they pay for all of this? No, the trucks are not running.
They did a GoFundMe campaign, and within a few days, it went up to $10 million.
So there are people in the country who are prepared to use their wealth in order to have the plus Mr. Trump and what name Cruz. He's a real cross. Cruz is Spanish for cross, Well, him is not a cross. Him is not a cross like the Christian cross. Him is a cross is. Yes. Him say what? Anyway, so people like them are prepared to pay out money in order to have the Canada governance shutdown. In a situation where 95% of who was protesting vaccinate already. Yes? And
I don't know about the people who were the vaccination status of the people who were protesting, but the trucking industry says that 90%.
Well, I'm going from that. What I'm saying is that this is liberalism gone mad. This is not. This is the use of popular protest, which is an essential element of a liberal democracy, to an extreme and in a way that has absolutely no bearing on reality. And it seems to me that if you are going to engage in what amounts to civil disobedience, you must be prepared to go to jail for it.
And they have been so they've issued I think about 460 tickets, and there's about 90 between 60 to 90 criminal activity which are currently being investigated. And let me also add, it is spreading to other provinces. On Saturday, you had they were in Toronto, but the Toronto police where they wanted to go was close to where the hospitals were. So there is an area that they have about 4 or 5 hospitals. Mm-hmm. And but the police blocked that off, so they weren't able to gain access, and so they pretty much restrict them to a certain area. But they weren't able to gain access with the trucks, but they were still able to gain access on foot. And then in Quebec, which is neighboring Ottawa, they also had another demonstration there, but that was a bit more orderly and peaceful, as the police had negotiated with them before as to where and what they can do, so where they can go.
What is popular sentiment saying? Are this because the basis of the demonstration and the confusion seems to be very slim? If they're down now to having the removal of masks and all COVID reactions, then COVID provisions, then do the public support this? I mean,
no, the public doesn't support it, because remember too that Canadian is one of it's probably one of the most vaxxed country in the world, with approximately 80% double vax, and I don't know the booster count, but it's high up there too. So most people don't support it, so they don't really have public support for the most part. And even amongst the truckers, a lot of truckers are not supported, because they're saying that that's not even the real issues which are affecting the trucking industries. So they're not even in support, because they're saying that, well, if you're going to be talking about something, speak about the issues which are affecting the industry, rather than these things.
Yes, private truckers.
Private truckers.
Private truckers.
Yes, they're private truckers.
So
yes.
Steve McDonald, what is the ideological background to this? What is it that makes people, truckers like the ones demonstrating, people like Mr. Crosses and President Trump, who we don't really expect much better from, what is it that they feel? What is their view of society? What is their view of order that allows them to be doing something like this? Are they anarchists? Are they nihilists? Are they what adjectives describe them?
I think if you're
cannot be spoken on the air.
I'll be careful.
Talk to talk.
There are some Christian people listening to us.
Yes. That's interesting. And with the GoFundMe campaign too, they said most of the money actually came from the US. Yeah. They're finding that it's more right-wing.
The US gone,
and it's more right-wing, that right-wing faction, that Trump faction, if you can call them that.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much where, because they started out saying that they want freedom and it's a freedom convoy. But the ironic thing is that they're denying the people who are in Ottawa their own freedom.
Yeah.
So that's the ironic aspect of it, because a lot of stores have had to be closed.
Yeah.
People are being troubled when they walk on the road. As I mentioned, they're going into other areas, and they're in Alberta, Manitoba, and they were also blocking one of the access to the border crossing too. So in terms of asking for their freedom, they're denying other people of their freedom. So it just comes down, based on the placards, it has been just the right-wing movement that is moving across Canada from the US.
Let me bone something up for you. Most of these truckers are not from Canada. They are from the United States.
No.
They're actually from Canada.
But what are the travelers?
They go back and forward.
In the United States,
yes.
They carry goods.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. But
I haven't heard anything to say that they're not from Canada.
But I am interested to know what is in their head, that they feel that some.
They have a big old truck on and block the road.
Yes, that's so. I understand civil disobedience,
Yes.
Yes, I understand where you reach a point where you have to say, I am going to stand against an unjust law in order to make a point in favor of a better justice, a higher order, and I'm prepared to take the consequences of my action. I understand that. That is the tradition of, most recently, of people like Martin Luther King. Okay? But where something which is relatively minor, such as this, I do not think you have the right it does not reach the level of justifiable civil disobedience at all.
Yeah, but that is in your mind.
No, yes, it is in my mind.
As far as you're saying that it is not justified, that it's reasonable.
No.
And they're saying it is more than reasonable. So this again, my point is governance. My point gets down to governance.
If I may just piggyback on that, and Sir Charles make a very interesting point. One of the person that they actually interviewed was a person who came from, I think it was Afghanistan or somewhere like there. But and what you said, Rev, is true in terms of so they're saying that it is not a just rule or a just requirement, and that's what they're protesting against.
You mean to wear a mask
and
get a vaccination?
To provide proof of vaccination, or to be vaccinated to come back in,
yes.
or quarantine for 14 days.
Yes.
So this guy actually said that he's from, I think it was Afghanistan, one of those countries, and he is very concerned by this request by the government, and he fears that it will lead to totalitarianism back from where he tried to
totalitarianism,
so,
like Afghanistan.
Yes. So that just come right back into what Mr. Charles was saying, and to your point. So in some people's mind, they believe, whether it's a right or wrong view, that is what their view is, but it's still being fueled by, in my opinion, by the let's call it, for a better term, Trumpism and in that right wing section, in terms of, because some of them still don't believe in the whole virus thing or vaccination work and all of that.
Okay,
a lot of the things, Ronnie, that are happening both in America and Canada today is what those governments oppose to happening in places like Cuba.
True.
This couldn't happen in Cuba.
No. But then look now, there are parallels, Steve McDonald, with what we have been discussing in Jamaica, because what we have now is a rising group of, I don't know if they're rising, but a very prominent group of people who are saying to government, go ahead. Forget about COVID restrictions, forget about anything. Just open up the economy and make things go on. Who for dead.
Exactly.
And who...
You have to emphasize that.
But I will live.
And guess what? They're not going to die because they have taken the vaccine.
Well, that is the thing too. This is why it struck me that while those truckers on demonstration may themselves not have, there are many truckers, the majority, it is reported, who have in fact done so. So there's a high level of hypocrisy in the whole of this thing. But
That is true.
well, but at this stage, these are men probably earning what 60,000-70,000 Canadian dollars a year. These are not
More than that.
beg your pardon.
Actually, so the truckers, especially cross-border truckers,
Yeah.
I think it would be a low off around 70,000, but it could actually go to a high as 100,000.
Well, no.
For cross-border
so these are
truckers.
people not scrounging for food, you know.
No.
These are not
No.
complaining about want. These are people who.
And
Yes.
I was just going to say that, just to piggyback on, while we don't know the figures, you made an inference in terms of with regards to the number of vaccination. I would presume that a significant portion of them would be vaccinated too.
Yeah.
From that perspective. And you're correct. I think Jamaicans are lodging their protests by not getting vaccinated. So they're not in the streets, but their way of protesting against the vaccination is by not taking it, whether they're justified in their mind or not.
Well, I tell you something, we have a problem again with governance, because the kind of democracy that we have in Jamaica, with our eyes on power, make us fearful to do certain things. Because when a man come tell me that 10 of them decide that they are not going to take the vaccine, where 90 has taken it, and the 90 say if those 10 come in, they are going to make us get it again. And they say them doing business with that. Governance, not only the political governments, but the management governments has to come into play. Fathers have to take charge of them yard.
Well, but then you
And
have.
some fathers are mothers.
Yes. Okay, I got you there. Steve McDonald, what is Prime Minister Trudeau likely to do? We're shredding this with you because Canada's system and Jamaica's system is very similar, and where we take a lot of interest, notice, and sometimes are influenced by what is taking place in a country like Canada. What is the governors like the Prime Minister about to do? Do you think?
Well, as I mentioned, he spoke yesterday. He has been very firm in terms of and pro-vaccination. He has issued mandates, and this is just one of the mandates, that all federal organizations have to be vaccinated. Workers have to be vaccinated. So the banks, which is federal governed, they have had to be vaccinated and or have a vaccination requirement for staff. So he has been very firm, and he says that it has to stop. He is not prepared at this point to even entertain a discussion with them.
But they declared a state of emergency this morning, haven't they?
Yes, that was done yesterday. So you have to remember that there is governance at different levels. So there is the prime minister level, which is considered federal. And then there is the province, so there's provincial, and then there is at the city level, which is considered municipal. So the city of Ottawa has declared a state of emergency, and that would give the police chief certain powers and also allow the mayor. So the mayor is the one who declared the state of emergency. That would give them certain powers now to seek additional funding. They're supposed to bring in some more police because, as I said, the chief of police said that they were overwhelmed. He has not seen anything like this in his 30-odd years. And Ottawa has seen demonstration from like G20 summits and so forth. But so now they're coming down. So what I think the Prime Minister will do is make additional resources available to the city of Ottawa, and then from a Prime Minister level, he can step up in terms of at the borders. He can step up the security forces at the borders, and now the province will have to get more police into the area.
Yes, what a pity.
And I'm pretty sure they may make the soldiers available too.
Yeah. So let's just get the last question is, as of now, truckers coming across the U.S.-Canada border would have to show proof of vaccination or go into quarantine?
That is correct.
Okay, fine. Steve McDonald, interesting discussion. Many parallels with what is taking place in Jamaica right now in terms of the rising tide of these anti-vaxxers and issues of public safety, public order. Thanks for bringing us up to date. Talk to you again soon about agricultural produce and exports from Jamaica. Take care of yourself.
All right, have a good one. All the best to
All the
you
best to you.
and your
Okay,
listeners.
and say hello to
Thank you.
everybody for us.
Yes,
Will do.
Okay.
We're going to make Steve an informal ambassador of Jamaica. Always welcome. That's
Ronnie,
great news.
This is what I call
Yeah.
a dark day for governance,
Yeah.
because you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah, but
And you should do what you have to do.
The question is what is right to be done, and you see it in the papers this morning. You hear it from people as influential and hopefully well thought out as Adam Stewart and others who are saying, look, personal rights trump, pun intended, trump ideas of the common good, or that the common good does not require for me to comply, or for me to respect anybody, any edict or position of governance. Now, I've spent there have been many instances in my life where I've opposed government and been engaged in acts of civil disobedience, and I've been prepared, yes, to take the consequences of it. But we're in this instance of health, in this instance of personal well-being, I really want to appeal to those who are taking this position, whether in Ottawa or in Ocherius. Look now, think again, and certainly to undermine the credibility of a government who I don't support, but at the same time I do support in terms of their handling of this health matter. They are the people in authority, and we are obliged to show obedience, show critical support of them. We really can't. Why? We really can't get to that point where
Leadership, Ronnie.
Yeah.
And leadership is not only from government.
Yeah.
Leadership is right down the line.
Yeah.
And I am saying,
so we are exercising.
my presentation to you is simply,
Yeah.
if every 100 men and women that die, 93 of them
Say it again.
never take the vaccine, and them die from the virus.
So you defend that?
I mean, you don't have to go to school for that.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the strong, pithy words, as always, the Honourable Pearnel Charles, partner on Early Rise on the Bridge, 99 FM. I'm told that we have to leave you this for now. We'll be back tomorrow morning, if life spare and God is willing. Till then, thanks to everybody. Take care.